Hello, y'all. Hello, y'all. I'm Kendra Dublin, and I am just here to share some of my personal stories and how they kind of tie right back into the ministry that God has given me, and how through my life from childhood to young adult to up until now, how God really has been like carrying me through, and just kind of in a sense, kind of tracking. Not only God like trying to show me, hey, this is who you are, although there are plenty of times where I was like, no, I'm good with doing things how I want to do them. That God was just flowing me right back to where he wanted me to be. So today I'm talking about how I was crazy in the 10th grade, y'all. So I flunked the 10th grade, and I had to go to summer school, but I'm going to tell you why I flunked the 10th grade. So during my 10th grade year, I had been in honors classes pretty much since I was in like first or second grade. You know, they had like AG, and then as you got older, it went into honors classes. And so there came to a point where I was just like, I don't want to do this work anymore. Like, okay, that's great that I'm smart, based off of, the way you set up, this educational system. But I really don't want to have to do like this kind of work. I'd rather do less and not continue to do what I've been doing. So that year, y'all, I was crazy. That year, I think I ended up actually like flunking like 2 or 3 different classes, and one of them was English. And so during that class, I was just like, this is just like not for me to be like towards the beginning of the school year. And I was like, this is not for me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Y'all, I was just prideful and I was just into myself, but that's the typical 15-year-old. So when I decided, hey, I need to figure out what I need to do to get out of these honors classes, I had to actually go to the principal's office, which was the vice principal at the time that I had to go to. And so I went to her and make an appointment. I was like, hey, I've been in honors classes. Of course, you got to kind of tell them what's going on before you get there. And like, I've been in honors classes like for all these years, but I don't want to be in it anymore. Like, I prefer to like be switched over to just regular classes. And so she was like, well, I look at your file and you've been in honors classes like pretty much all of your life. Like, why would you want to change that? Like, the schools, when you go to college and university, they're going to look at you differently. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to make A's. I'll easily make A's. I don't have to do much work. Just let me do what I want to do. And so she basically denied my request. And I'm just like, okay. So y'all just gonna make me like show y'all like that I'm not gonna do my work. I'm not gonna do what you want me to do. Y'all, I was crazy. So after me having this meeting with my vice principal, tell her I do not want to be in honors classes anymore. This is what I do next. And I didn't even remember I did this. My mom had to remind me like a couple of years ago. She was like, yeah, when you did that, because I was telling her, I remember, during that time frame, just kind of like reminiscing. And she was like, yeah. And then you ended up sending her in a letter, like an essay, basically telling her why I should not be in honors classes. Like literally, I gave her an essay. I wrote her an essay telling her as to why I didn't want to be in these classes, which basically like defeated like my argument. I'm like telling her my argument point by point by point, what I need to be able to do, what I shouldn't be able to do. That just goes to tell y'all the kind of person that I am. Like when you see me being like very forward and like very just honest and bold about what that looks like, and very courageous, and like whatever I'm thinking about, whatever I believe that I want to do, like it is done. Like, and that's how I'm going to move forward, right? So I literally gave her an essay to say why I shouldn't. And of course she denied it because she's like, who does this unless they should not be in honors classes? So during that same year, while I was in 10th grade, I had ended up flunking like English and something else. And I don't even remember exactly like all the things that I flunked. But during that time in English class, like I had this teacher, to me, she was crazy. And I pretty much had stopped doing work in her class. And at one point she told my mom, she was like, she's not doing work in this class. And she was like, why are you telling me this now? You should have been telling me prior to now, so that I could correct anything. But what am I going to do now? She's flunked it. Doesn't matter. She makes an A for the semester. Like, it's a wrap. Like, I literally went to that class and did nothing. In other classes, I just kind of slept in. Like, okay, maybe this semester, maybe this quarter, I'll I'll get an A. The next quarter, I'll just sleep and get an F, and that'll be a C. Like that's just how I was thinking. And clearly my creative mind, my strategic mind is like the way it should be now for God doing what I should do. But during that time, again, like I said, I was a little cray-cray. So that's what got me into flunking school. And then I went into summer school, and I had ended up paying half of that. And I don't even know where that money came from. Like to this day, I'm thinking like, how did I have half the money to pay for summer school? Because it was like $500, and I had to come up with $250. Like, where did that $250 come from? So when I went to summer school, y'all, I did my work. Like I actually did my work, because I was like, okay, I can't be like a smart failure. Like that's just not cool. So so I went to summer school, and one time during one of my classes, because I just didn't really care for my teacher, but one time, and clearly I didn't think she cared for me, we were in class and she told me to wake up. And so she's reading at this moment, and we're going through whatever the English book was. And I was like, I'm not asleep. And she was like, yes, you are. Your eyes were closed. And then I said verbatim what she said before she told me to wake up. And I was like, you said blah, 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 blah. Then you said da, 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 da. Well, you were asleep, but I just clearly told you I wasn't. So she kept going. I said, lady, stop talking to me and just teach your class. And that's when she just couldn't handle it. So clearly I wasn't humble enough to just be like, it's your world. You're the teacher. I'm in summer school and I need to actually pass this class, but that's not my reality, y'all. So she tells me to go to the principal's office and wait for her. I walked to the boys club. Like literally, I went to the boys club, which is about like a 15-minute walk from the school. So I said, when I went past the office, I was like, why would I do that? Like, I'd rather just go to the Boys and Girls Club, hang out with my friends, and be good for the rest of the day. And I wasn't even thinking like what time I would go back to school. I literally just said, well, I'm out. So y'all, crazy. Like, but these are only like a few instances in my childhood. For the most part, I was good. But sometimes when I was on one, I was on 100. So I walked to the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm there for like 45 minutes or so. I really couldn't tell you exactly how long, but it was probably close around 45 minutes. And I get a call and I'm like, well, how does anybody know that I'm here? And it's my mom. And she's like, why are you at the Boys and Girls Club? You're supposed to be in school. They're going to call the cops on you. Da, 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 da. The cops are looking for you. I mean, it was just all this back to back to back. And I'm thinking like, whatever. Like I'm okay. I'm over here playing spades with my friends. Like, I'm thinking like, you're bothering me. Like, I'm good. So she's like, you better walk back to school and blah, blah, blah. So I walked back. And when I get there, whoever it wasn't the principals, whoever was head of the summer school, they were basically saying, hey, this happens again, you're going to get kicked out. I was like, look, I told her, like, and I blah, blah, blah. It didn't really matter. You're going to get kicked out if you do this thing again. And my dad gave me the most, like, the death stare, y'all. It was the death stare. And he was looking at me like, you must be crazy. So, I'm walking down the hall. He starts walking down the hall this way. I'm on this side of the hall. When we get in the car, I don't get in the passenger seat. I get in the back seat. I was like, oh, heck no. Like, I'm not up for the consequence right now. So we get back home and I have my punishment or whatever. But basically, long story short, very prideful. And even to this day, like, I have to check myself to make sure like I am reading my Bible on a regular basis and communing with God, so that the power and the courageousness and the boldness that he's given me is for the correct thing. That it's not just because I want to be, this is what I'm thinking. No, it's everything I do now is for Christ. But it just showed me how whenever I put my mind to something, I can do it, and I will put all these things together to do so. But that pride factor is really what hit me when I was younger. But now, if you see me, you would probably think the kind of like total opposite of it. But it's because, I got back to who I originally was. Very bold, very straightforward, very much going to do the right thing for God. But I kind of lost my way in being very prideful, which in later days got me into being an alcoholic for 7 years. But it showed me that, and even in all of my craziness, the things that I would do was I would stick to what I believed. And then I will also make a plan to actually put those things forth. And that's literally what I do today. Like, I am very strategy driven. I'm very journey driven. When God tells me certain things, or the people that are asking me for help about certain things, it's like I can easily piece that thing together as to what God has called them to do, which is why my ministry, is helping people, release their wounds so they can do what actually God has called them to do. Because a lot of times those things hold us back. The things of our past, or the things in our crazy youth that we do, to help them to stop running from the call and to do what God has called them to do, and to help churches with their discipleship program, something that's really measurable, and then also help those in the marketplace that are doing online ministry. So again, whatever, tell me in the comment section, whatever those pieces are, that even though there were crazy things that you did back in the day, it was almost like, not necessarily like a seed, but it was like an indicator of the kind of person that you could be for Christ had you actually done things the right way. Also, tell me any of your little crazy stories as well, so we can get a quick chuckle, but also just a reminder who God is, and He reigns. When we do things His way, is when it works out. When we do things our own way, we have to suffer the consequences. But remember that God has placed these things in you. Use it for good, not for bad. Don't strategize for bad. Strategize for good. And go ahead and do it today, because tomorrow is too late to be great.